Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo and welcome to my scrapbook table. I am excited to be the guest designer for the Counterfeit Kit Challenge community this month. And so when I got the email that had the details about the kit that we were using for inspiration, I started thinking about how I was going to build my kit. And I thought I would share that process with you. And then I plan to make 4 projects from this kit. And my kit is pretty big, but that's okay. It gives me lots to work with. So the first thing I do when I'm going to build a kit is I look at the inspiration kit. And I try to look at it pretty closely. This month's inspiration is by Coco Daisy, and it's called October Glow. And these colors are just so pretty. I love fall. I've said before on here, it's my favorite season. I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday of the year. And so I started looking at this and I was thinking, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do because I got rid of a lot of my fall themed stuff because I had used it for several years. And I just felt like I needed to purge. I had used as much as I was going to use, and it was time for something new and different. Well, I haven't bought any new and different, so I had to start thinking outside the box. And what I noticed first in this are these colors, and especially this multicolor stripe. When I am starting from scratch, I love to build on a multicolor stripe. It helps me think of things that will go together. That's just how my mind works. And so I started going through my stash and I found this piece of paper. It is by Photoplay. It's called So Sweet. And I don't see a date on here, so I can't tell you what year it's from, but it's from a collection called Hello Lovely by Michelle Coleman, I think, but it's written really small and it's hard for me to see that. But I saw this, and I had a couple other pieces that went with it. I have this dot that goes with it, and the flip is a soft green pattern. So pretty. And this goes with it. This is the same collection, and there's some cut-apart cards, which, as I flipped through this, let's see, I noticed lots of cut-apart cards. And while this isn't necessarily fall-themed, it fits these colors perfectly. And I don't know that I'll have a ton of fall-themed photos, so it's nice to have more general things. Hello weekend, enjoy the little things currently. So these are what I decided to build my kit on. And I'm going to leave this one on top. Okay, so I have these 3 patterns. So then I started looking at color. Before I did more paper, I looked at color. And I pulled out some inks and I swatched them on here after I tried them. This Rusty Hinge is a little too orangey, but I'm going to leave it in there just in case, because I think some things it will go with. So what I've chosen is Stampin' Up's Pistachio Pudding. I don't have a green like that in Distress Oxide, which is what the rest of these are, so I went to my Stampin' Up inks. First I was going to use Mustard Seed, and then I decided Fossilized Amber will be a better pick, so I just crossed that out and made myself a note. I have some Frayed Burlap, because I always like to have a darker brown, Antique Linen, which is a wonderful neutral color, and Fired Brick. I have found that if you don't have the exact Distress Oxides that someone is listing for a project, it doesn't really matter. There are lots of oranges, lots of yellows, lots of greens that can take places of these things. So I just went through and found things that I thought would work for me. So those colors are what I'm going to be working with. The collection that we are using also incorporates some black And so I'll pull in just a black ink, and I don't know that I will use a lot of black. I may stick more with dark brown, but we'll see. Okay, so then I started thinking of what other papers do I have. And so for cardstock, I just took this striped piece of paper to where I keep my 12 by 12 cardstock, and I have an aught light that sits right above that shelf. I turned that on and I started going through. I've been using this paper a lot lately, and while it's not a perfect match, it does coordinate nicely. I bought a whole pack of 25 sheets of this at a yard sale, and I'm going to be so sad when it's gone because I have no idea what color it is. I think it's basil cardstock. It feels like basil cardstock, but I don't know the color, so I'm going to be sad when I use that all up. I pulled in this because it's just kind of a darker shade of this stripe, and one of my favorite colors of fall is when trees turn that dark burgundy color. So I pulled that in. Here's a little bit later one. And another shade. These are ones I only have like one sheet of, so I was hoping to use those up. I pulled in this dark green. It's like a forest green. Some ivory. I think this is Stampin' Up! Very vanilla, if I remember right. It could be a basil though, a basil smooth. And there's black cardstock. And then I have one sheet of this textured floral. And I think it's the kind where you use this raised side and you're supposed to like sand it off and some of those darker colors come in. I don't know if I'll do that or if I'll just use it as is. But again, it's just I only have one sheet of that. So I've got 3 or 4 in here that I only have one sheet of. So it would make me happy to get those used up. So those are my cardstocks. And then I went through my patterned paper stuff to see what I could build on, what I could add as I'm building. So this piece, again, I only have one of. It's a Creative Memories piece. And while it's not an exact match to anything on there, I think it makes a nice neutral. I have this. I have like a dozen more of these. I bought this at Tuesday Morning in a pack of 25. It's crepe paper. It's from 2014. I have found it hard to use, so I still have a lot of it. But to me, it coordinates with this color right here and some of what's in there. So I pulled it. This is actually a biking themed paper. It says biking, cycling, sprocket, etc. I'm probably not going to do anything about biking, but I see myself using this to mat photos with. And it's a nice, almost neutral green. And I did the same with this. I'm pretty sure this is a Stampin' Up! Paper. It's just a dark green grid that will balance nicely with these greens here. This is Fancy, Fancy Pants Designs. I bought a pack of 25 of these because I love this neutral. There's also this pattern on the back, which does coordinate nicely with some of what's going on here, so I could use either side. This is just a neutral, and even this yellowy green kind of works. So I can see using that for a background. This is an old Stampin' Up! Piece of paper. Again, I only have one, so it would be great to get that used. This does not go at all, but that's okay. And again, I could see using this to mat photos with. There's the other side of that one. And then I have had this paper, these 2 sheets. I don't know what they're from. I kind of think they were from a paper pad that I cut apart. And I see this orangey color, the yellow, the green that I have here, the dark green like is in this. So that's why I pulled it. Maybe I can get that used. I would be thrilled if that happened. So those are my patterned papers that I added. I knew I had this Photo Play sticker sheet that goes with these 3 pieces of paper. And again, it's not fall themed, but the colors work. and I can see myself doing a lot with that. So then I started thinking about embellishments, and I will be right back to talk about that. For embellishments, I have a bin that's labeled fall, brown, and gold and silver metallics. So this is where leftovers go. When I'm done with a kit, I've used as much as I think I'm going to, but I don't want to get rid of what's in there. So the first thing I noticed is that there are several 3x4 fall themed cut aparts. I believe these were from a Simple Stories kit that's pretty old. It might have even been like a 6x8 kit or something like that. So I pulled those out because they're definitely fall themed. And while the colors don't work with everything, they do work with some of these papers. So there's that one, little hedgehog, he's cute. Just some flowers. And then on the back of most of them, I could use for journaling spots. So that's what I started with pulling out of here. And then these came in a pack with the same, with this stuff too. There were some square pieces. I think there's little ones here that spell out fall, which I could use. So I'm pulling those out. I have this, I don't know if I have any more of these, but I know this is 49 and Market acetate. So let me get a piece of white paper so you can see it a little better. I think I have some more of these. If I need them, I can pull them, but I'm just gonna sit that here. Again, 49 and Market, some tickets that work with the colors. I have a frame here. It's cut apart because I needed to use something from it, but I can see using it to create some layers. Here's a tag that I got in a swap by S. Anderson, and it says Cozy and Crisp Autumn Days. So I think that works. These are some tags that were on a cut apart, not a cut apart thing, but kind of, and then they were perforated. So of course, when I took them apart, all the little edges are there. I could use them and trim them, and I would like to try to use a few of them in November. So I'm going to get the whole batch out and just add them to this. Here's some wood veneer that says Thanksgiving and has a leaf and a couple of acorns. So that would be great to make a page for our Thanksgiving dinner. This says autumn is my favorite color. I don't know why these are in here. They don't really go in there, but they could go anywhere. Who, what, where, when, and why. Here are some leaves. I made these in 2024 and these were left over. So I'm going to add those. Here's a pretty little thing. Again, I got this in a swap. Let me see. It is from Lily, whose name is Tiger Lily, I think. And it says sweater weather. And look at these embossed sweaters. Aren't they cute? Yeah, so I'm excited to get that used up. That's going in my kit. These are some 49 and Market leftovers that kind of fit the colors. Here's a label that I could use. Hot cocoa or hot cider. This little thing that says notes could work. Life is good. This might be too orangey for what I have, but I'm going to leave it out here anyway. There's this adorable little scarecrow. I don't know who made it. I think I'm going to use this on a card because I know a little person having a October birthday, and this is by Kimberly Litton. So I think I'm not gonna put it in this kit, but I'm gonna leave it on top of that bin and leave my bin out. And then this just says Happy Fall. So there are some embellishments to work on. If you watched a video I put up in October, I showed you how I created a bunch of fall leaves with some dyes, Distress Oxide inks, and sprays. So those definitely fit, and they are going in my kit. I have this for some titles. It's Simple Vintage Cottage Fields. Here's Thankful Today, which that's ripped, so I have to figure out something I could put on top of that. But hello, together, happiness, love, lots of options for titles. And then I have this that I got. It was like just an attendance gift at a Creative Memories thing. And I think some of these gold pieces could work for embellishments, especially cluster bases. So I'm just going to leave this. I'm not going to get them all out. I'm going to leave this in the little package and do that. And then finally, I thought about a few other things that I have. I have lots of acrylic pieces from Color Cast Designs. This one says Leaf Peeping, Life is Gourd. I don't know if I can see myself using that one. Falling Leaves, Crisp Air, Autumn Vibes, Changing Colors, and then some actual leaves. So I have those that I can use, and I wanted to pull out some stencils, and I picked two. I picked this chevron, only because it's nice and neutral. It can work with just about anything. And then finally, I don't know, let me put it on the black and see if it shows up better. Yeah. I have this big leaf stencil. It's from Scrapping Reflections. I love it, but I don't know what to do with it. I struggle with big stencils. I love what I see other people do with big stencils. So this is kind of a challenge to myself to figure out something that will work well. And last, I have some splattering things, Opaque Gold from Picket Fence and Penny in Your Pocket from Shimmer's Paints. So that is my kit. I hope you enjoyed me talking through this process. I hope it's helpful to somebody as you think about building your kit. Don't forget you can build a mini kit, and there'll be blog posts about that too. I will have information on the Facebook group and the blog in the description box below, so I hope you'll visit those, and I hope you'll play along with some of the challenges. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.